Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another speed build. Today we're going to be tackling the St. Jude Shell Challenge, which is the May Shell Challenge from lilsimsie that she debuted on her Twitch stream a few weeks ago, and they are due tomorrow. I'm a little behind, so I did finish the build. I just have yet to submit it to the gallery and yet to finish this voiceover. As you can hear, my voice is not that great right now, so I've been trying to wait until I had a little bit more of a voice, but here we are. So today we're going to be attempting this monstrous shell. Now I did have to bulldoze a few more times than I'd like to admit, because every single one of my ideas just wasn't panning out. It wasn't looking right. It didn't feel right. And I was having a really hard time with it. So it was a very challenging challenge at that. But I did decide to make a family home for a set of grandparents who sometimes have their grandchildren stay over with them. This ends up having 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and also a little laundry room in the downstairs bathroom. There's also going to be an additional little shop in the back. It's like a little shed with like a woodworking area and stuff. It's pretty cute. I enjoy it a lot. And I did build this in Copperdale, so I used a good amount of high school years, and then I also was able to use the restoration workshop kit and the artist studio kit, I think it is, that I used as well, or it may have been, I don't even remember. I used a couple different kits and a couple different packs, but I really wanted to get the idea across that this set of grandparents has been here for their entire lives, and they raised their children here, and now their grandchildren have rooms here as well, which used to be one of their parents' old rooms, and then either their aunt or uncle's room. I didn't quite think about the entire family, to be honest. I just thought about the grandparents primarily, because I think that this set of grandparents has been renovating this home the entire time they've been here. And they've been dreaming about different things in different rooms, different ideas. And the grandpa of the house, his name is Ted, by the way. He is very handy. He's, I think, a handiness level 10, if I don't forget. Yes, handiness level 10. And he's been fixing up the house for his wife, and they have their one last project for this home, which is the kitchen. So I did get to use a lot of the restoration workshop kit, like appliances that you need to fix up in the kitchen, and also there's the few big appliances in the backyard shed that he obviously has to fix there first before he can move into the house. So that was the whole premise around this. Was it's a house with a kitchen that is under renovation and is for 2 grandparents, and then from there I just wung it. So hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, please be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you did this shell challenge for the month of May. If you did, let me know what your idea was, because I would love to check out your home on the gallery. Also include your gallery ID so I can check it out in case your home doesn't get toured tomorrow, because there are so many submissions every time lilsimsie does a shell challenge. So obviously not everybody's can be toured, but we can share with each other. I figure that way, if we don't see the builds themselves on the shell tours, at least we can see it with each other and still have fun with it. And I still did have fun with this, so I'm usually not too beaten up about the fact that she doesn't get to tour mine, because I know there's so many people submitting, and I can't even imagine streaming with thousands of people watching at the same time. It sounds very overwhelming, plus running a fundraiser, which, in case you did not know, lilsimsie runs a fundraiser for the entire month of May for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and it's a very worthy cause. We have a lot of fun over there, but we also have some tears over there as well, because it is for a worthy cause and a very unfortunate cause that these children have to go through all of these childhood illnesses that, they're still working to cure. There is no cure for cancer, obviously, but the folks at children's research hospitals like St. Jude are working to hopefully develop cures for that. So not only does the money raised go towards the families and helping them, but that way they can also help to do research on all of these diseases that affect these children, and they can use it in other places, other hospitals around the world, and also in healing adults with cancer. There's many good reasons to donate, but I think it is a worthy cause. Even if you don't donate, even if you just bring attention to the stream, as I am doing right now. So hopefully you can join us over there if you have not already. Most people that watch my videos, I assume, are also watching lilsimsie's videos and streams, because, obviously, duh. it's just me, but there's little Simsie. Okay, so here, I'm going to get into the floor plan. This is the upstairs floor plan. It took me a very long time, but I did kind of sort of figure it out. The grandparents' bedroom does end up being pretty small, but I think that what they ended up doing was taking away some of their bedroom to give to a third bathroom upstairs. So that is why their bedroom with this mission style double bed is a little bit small. It is still big enough for the grandparents to fit into their bed, and they have a dresser, and they also have a tiny little balcony that is like just big enough to fit the painting easel I eventually put out there. But that's pretty much it. But I think they took away some of the bedroom space to build that third bathroom upstairs. And I think that that was a good decision for how many people were probably in this house at one time. And this bedroom over here with like the little bed with all the triangles on it, that's for the grandson. And the pink canopy bed is for the granddaughter who comes and stays. They also have a shared bathroom with a door on either side of their bedrooms to get to it. So I tried to make sure that was accessible on both sides. And I think that it came out really cute. I really enjoy it. These windows are from Growing Together, and I don't think I've ever used this swatch with the blue sashes in the windows, and I thought that looked really nice with the blue siding that also came with Growing Together. So threw that in there. It's a kind of a craftsman style house, but I tried to keep it more like, it's almost like a blue suburban craftsman, if you will. Like there's a little bit of everything kind of thrown in, and I really love this brick. So I wanted to bring it out also with the chimney. This chimney you see right here at first is a debug / live edit chimney, but I did end up replacing it with a real chimney. I didn't even realize we had this chimney as a real option in the build by catalog until I started doing this, and then I said, oh wait a minute, I think I can make this a functional chimney, because if I just used the debug live edit one, you wouldn't see the smoke coming out when the grandparents were to light the fireplace, which there does end up being a fireplace in here. So I wanted that functionality, and I wanted that visual effect to be in the home. That was important to me. So here I am replacing it with the actual build by catalog functional chimney, and I did size it down the same that I did with the debug live edit one with tool mod, because I wanted to make sure that it fit properly, and then I rose it up just to the right height, also adding a white trim all across the bottom floor to the top floor. And then I think I also added in the roof eaves as well, because I like that white line all the way throughout. And off camera, I did add little thin white columns on every corner of the outside of the upper portion of this build, because there were none, and when I was trying to take screenshots, I just noticed it looked really plain. So you don't see that here, but I did do that off camera. And I apologize if you hear my cat purring, because he is at it again. He just hopped up right next to me and wants to purr right into the microphone. So and my apologies if that bothers you, but he's a cutie though. All right, I have to stop petting you now. Stop it. Anyway, we're adding some more of these windows. These ones are kind of like a stained glass thing, but they don't have any stained glass in them. They just have some lovely ornate patterns. I like those right next to the front door. I think they're really nice. And I was going to use brick on the front and back patios, but instead I used this stone flooring from the Country Kitchen kit. I just thought it looked really nice. It's kind of a similar color to the brick, but a different texture, so it kind of mixes it up a little bit. And this big back portion that you see where we are right now, that's where the kitchen ends up going. That's where the countertops are. And in that gray tone, those are the old countertops. So we end up replacing those. Not really replacing. I think that the grandfather ends up repainting them instead of just replacing the whole thing. You'll see some of the appliances going in now. I did pick out the broken down appliances, but I also picked these cheaper regular appliances. I think those are the ones that they're going to be replacing with the vintage ones that he is in the process of restoring. And for right now, the stove and the fridge are in the kitchen, but I do end up moving them to the back shed in a little bit. And that is where Grandpa is working on the appliances, because they don't really fit in the kitchen while he's working on them. It doesn't exactly give a lot of functionality. You'll also see this microwave and coffee pot, and then I put a little storage bin with a toolbox on top of it. I thought that was nice. Also this bucket for sitting on, and this table from Laundry Day ends up being their dining table. I went back and forth on the swatches for a long time, but I did decide on the white one, and then these chairs from Cats and Dogs, just because I think they're so fun, and the blue kind of matches with the blue tone in the kitchen. Here I am adding the old tile, so this is the tile that's going to be removed, but I wanted to fill up the whole room first and get the feel for it. And here, this Growing Together floor tile is going to be the new tile all throughout the kitchen eventually. But right now we're going to jump out to the backyard and work on this little tool shed. So we have the siding from the Artist Studio kit for the outside siding. I think that, Grandpa just built this shed. It doesn't need to be fancy. It just needs to be functional. and he used some leftover shingles from the roof for the roof of the shed. I love this screen door from Island Living, so I used that here, and then I moved the big appliances back there, and eventually I ended up putting some more like toolboxes and restoration workshop kit stuff in there. But for now, we're going to be back in the kitchen, and I'm going to add the growing together tile on half of the wall, and the rest of the wall is going to have that like unfinished kind of spackled drywall all over it, because I think they're in the process of replacing this old wallpaper here that has the wainscoting and kind of the grayish faded wallpaper or paint color, and I do end up adding a bunch of scuffs and like marks on the wall from For Rent, Life and Death, I think Basement Treasures. There's a bunch of them that come with all of these packs, all these different scuffs and marks and stuff. So I wanted to use a good amount of those. I pulled out a bunch right here as you're seeing me just kind of pull random stuff out, but I do decide on just a few. I don't keep all of them there. And then I pulled out this cute little like baking like island thing, but I put it up against the wall because I wanted that to be, you know, kind of the extra storage in the kitchen while Grandpa's working on renovating the rest of it. And then I took the coffee pot and I added a extra countertop underneath it, sized it down with tool mod, and then scooted it back into the counter next to the microwave so that I could kind of place it off center, because obviously it's not in use right now. It doesn't need to be accessible at the moment. Now, if you were to play in this home though, you would want to make sure you pull that countertop out and then move the coffee pot to the actual place it snaps to on the other counter. That way it can actually be restored, because where it is right now, the sim doesn't think they can get to it. But here you'll see I'm pulling out a bunch of other stuff from the kitchen clutter kit. We have like the shopping bag and the little iPad with the recipes on it, and the hanging fruit basket, the spice rack. We had the dish rack next to the sink. The sink is also from that kit, and also the knife block, which I love, and then this little Lazy Susan that's going to go on the dining room table. I really enjoy that. There's also like a cleaning supply caddy over by the back door, but I will be moving that around later. And of course there's like the cooking utensils next to the stove. I just love this new kit. The kitchen kit I'm going to get so much use out of, but I end up using these containers of different like dry goods and dry foods, and I place them on top of this chair in the corner. My thought is that these usually go on the counter, but because Grandpa's renovating the kitchen, there's no room for them on the counter, so they have a bunch of like we don't use that very often stuff in this box over here. And then these dry goods are just going to be on top of this chair for now, along with this like jar of, I don't know, I guess that's pickled peppers or something, I'm not sure. And I really like the use of this white shelf, so I put that up on the wall with a cookie jar on it. There's some extra pots and pans on the floor next to the chair that is holding the stuff that can't be put up on the counter right now. And I also added some greeting cards on top of that little white shelf because I thought it was a nice spot to, like, you know, seasonally change up those cards, and maybe for Christmas time those can be the Christmas cards they get from their friends and their grandchildren and stuff. I thought that was nice. Also replacing the ceiling light with this lovely base game chandelier that I don't get to use very often. It's kind of old-fashioned looking, but I think it's perfect for a grandparent's house. And I made sure to include the smoke detector and also a range hood above the stove. And then we have a lovely painting going on the wall. This one also came from Kitchen Clutter. I couldn't decide on the swatch for a while, so I went back and forth, but I love all the pots and pans and stuff, so I thought that was a nice little touch. Over here in this little itty bitty bathroom, we are going to use the Parenthood wallpaper and then the flooring from Growing Together. And then in this hallway entryway space, we're using more cats and dogs wallpaper, and then also the businesses and hobbies wood flooring because I really like it. It looks like kind of hand restored almost. It looks like real wood flooring that has been restored over time, and I thought that was a nice touch. So that is where we are with that. Just adding some carpeting and hardwood floor upstairs so that I could map out where things were going to go upstairs. Here I am adding more trim to where the roof goes, and then also some spandrels on the front and back porches, and also the little balcony space where grandparents' room is. And then we have some windows going in where Grandpa's workshop is, and those are from the happy birthday event that we had for The Sims. Now here in the front we are adding some more little windows in the roof eaves because I really like these ones from Strangerville, and I wanted to put those there. It just kind of completed the look, I think, of the exterior of the home. I also pulled out this lovely ladder. Now this is from the gallery, so I'll put up the gallery user's name right here on the screen. But I pulled out two of these ladders, and then I used tool mod to kind of angle them perfectly so that I could fit them together. And then I wanted to grab a shelf that I could place directly on top, so it kind of looks like a little mini step ladder, just like for like painting the ceiling or getting some spackle on the walls. I wanted it to look like it was a ladder that was currently in use, and unfortunately we don't really have any ladders in the game other than debug ones. I couldn't quite find the one I was looking for in debug and live edit, so that's why I opened up the gallery and pulled it out. Luckily this one was available, and Toolmod is wonderful for these kinds of projects, so I think that I was able to make it work really nicely. And then I ended up using a bucket from Cottage Living. It's a debug bucket, but it's empty, and then also this little tiny paintbrush that I think is just base game, but that's also from the debug menu, and I think it looks really nice. It looks like they're kind of sitting there waiting to be able to finish up the ceiling or the spackling. But then we're going to jump back in the living room. I just picked a very basic living room wall color, and then I end up changing the swatch on the couch and the armchair in here because these are from the Cozy Kitsch kit, and I like the orange, but it was a little too much for me, so I changed it to white. But then I end up changing it to more of like a grayish green tone, and I love the rug too. That's from Cats and Dogs. We also have the frame TV that came with the holiday event. I really like that in here because it gives the look of a painting, but really it's a TV, and I think that grandma would be super into that because anything that can kind of hide obnoxious technology is like right up her alley. She also has a little knitting / reading corner over here. So I pulled out the armchair from Dream Home Decorator. I think it matches the couches pretty well, and also the end table from Cozy Kitsch. It's kind of like a step stool. I thought that looked nice. And the rug from the Storybook Nursery kit, because I love the rounded rug with like the ruffles on the edge. I think it looks super cute. And then the lamp, which is actually from University, and I don't think I've used it in a really long time. It's super fancy, but it looks perfect right here. Also some little knick-knacky things on this little hutch thing that came with Cozy Kitsch. We have like the little bear with the coin jar or something, and also this little plant from Greenhouse Haven, and also pulled out like a knitting book. And I placed those little yarn balls to take up space so that I could move objects and like get the things where I wanted them to be without snapping to the grid. But I did leave one yarn ball on the little middle shelf, and I didn't really mind it there. Once I saw it, I said, actually, that kind of fits. We'll just keep it there. And then over here in the living room, we have added some more lighting. These little globe lights are from Growing Together. And we also have the fireplace pokers and stuff, and a little stack of wood, and that is from Werewolves. And then we're going to spin around to right behind the couch. We have another copy of that end table and some more plants for the wall and a hanging plant. I really enjoy those, and a little candle tray because why not? Over here in this little bathroom, off of the living room, I did a very yellowy and blue theme for a while, but I do end up changing the cabinets back to a neutral wood tone. Those are from Dream Home Decorator. I thought the yellow was fun, but then I thought it was a little bit too much, so that is why we went that direction. I also have a very tall half wall over here separating where the shower goes, and I added a little extra shelving for like towels and such. The wallpaper is from Love Struck. It's a very shiny, kind of small square tile, and I thought that looked really, really nice in here. So I did have to adjust the size of the tub to fit perfectly in this nook, and also fit back into the wall, kind of hide the default tiling that it comes with. And then I used this flooring from For Rent. I think it's really pretty, and it kind of goes with that like blue and yellow theme that I had going for a while. Even though I changed the color of the cabinets, I did keep the flooring and the walls the same. And then I pulled out the bathroom clutter stuff that I love using. So we have the soap pump and some little selection of towels and the plunger and the toilet paper roll. I also pulled out this overhead shelf that came with Tiny Living in here because I just thought it looked so nice, and it's very, very organized looking. I think it gives a nice touch just above the toilet, and my favorite bathroom light, of course. And over in the corner here where these shelves are, I do end up cluttering it in a little bit, but I wanted to make sure there's a shower caddy in the shower. And then adjusting the shelves a little bit, I did add some towels here, and I think I added a couple other things, maybe like a little tray of bath stuff. Not 100% sure. That went really quick. It just took me a very long time to get that all cluttered up. So you'll see that in the screenshots. And then in this little tiny hallway, I just added a little painting, a nice country setting painting, just as you're going out the back sliding door. Now we're going to come all the way back to the front. And in this entryway, we have a lovely little buffet table with the Kintsugi lamp and a little vase of tulips. And I love this very large plant. I did have to size it down one click. It was a little bit too big for this area, so I put that right in the front to take up some space. We have a coat rack. We have an umbrella stand right here by the door. And I also end up adding a little entryway rug from Base Game because I thought it looked really nice in here. And then the overhead light right in the front here is from Growing Together, and I don't think I've used that one in a while either, at least not in that tone. Over here we have the laundry room. Obviously it's very basic, just has the stacking washer and dryer and then the toilet and sink from Country Kitchen Kit. Now we're up in the grandparents' room. Like I said, they just have a bed and a dresser. There's also the mirror from Seasons right above their dresser, and I had to lower with tool mod. And it's very simple, but it works. It's functional. I don't think they need too much in their room. Honestly, I think they are more like around the house people. They're in the living room, they're in the kitchen, they're outside enjoying the fresh air. They have a nice little patio out there eventually, so it doesn't need to be too fancy in here. They don't spend that much time in here, but I really wanted it to feel kind of cozy and warm and still kind of give that grandparent vibe, like they like everything to match. So we have the green walls and also a little snake plant over on the dresser, and this lovely painting that came with, I think, Love Struck, if I'm not forgetting, and of course some like lovely little wall mounted lights just to brighten up the space a little bit, and a rug from Dream Home Decorator that I have sized up a little bit and positioned up against the bed. And then we're going to come back here to Grandpa's little workshop area. So here's those broken down appliances that are just sitting here up against the wall. I also pull out a bunch of little counter pieces and also this wall mounted shelf with like his tools and stuff. We have the functional woodworking table in here for now, but I do end up getting rid of it and I opt for the Base Game one instead, and I put it outside. There's a little kind of selection of wood pieces that he's going to use eventually, another upside down bucket chair that came with this kit, and then some sawdust and stuff on the floor because obviously we're going to include that. And then over here on this shelf we have like a little box of different repair parts that I used tool mod to size up perfectly, and then another little toolbox in the middle that I did size down as well. I was trying to use all of the shelf space in case you can't tell. And of course, there's never enough slots for things when the Sims give us items like this. Like, I wish there was a middle shelf slot for that toolbox because it would be perfect. Also a little lantern on top because I thought it could use a little bit more lighting. And then out here in the front, we're going to jump to landscaping because I was getting sick of the interior. So I just threw some very plain Debug and Live Edit bushes out front and some tall grass, and then just some flowers from the surrounding area I just threw in here to kind of like match the rest of the area. I did not use any rocks here, which looking back on it, I wish I had, but I was in a little bit of a time constraint and I was feeling the pressure. So we have some little white flowers and we have some wildflowers, and of course this large bush that comes in a bunch of different packs, but I used the one from high school years so that way I wouldn't be using too many packs for no reason. And also these trellises that came with Growing Together, and right now they're in a wood tone, but I do end up changing them to more of a white tone, and I add some flowers from Get Together and some vines from Get Together behind it just to give it a little bit of depth and dimension. And over near Grandpa's little workshop we have some stone flooring going in from the Riviera Retreat kit, and it's right under that Debug Live Edit like tent thing, the little pop-up tent, and that is where his little woodworking table ends up going eventually, but I haven't gotten there yet. So we're going to make the patio area. I just wanted to get it all mapped out so I knew where I wanted all the bushes and flowers to go. Up here on the front porch though, we are going to be working on this little planter box situation, so I put some more trellis vines up here, and then I sized down a Debug Live Edit planter with the bracket keys, and then we have this little selection of flowers that came in like a wooden box, and I decided to just size it down a lot and then raise it up. I thought those looked really nice and simple. And then we have a white bench going over here in the corner with a vase of just some greenery. I also pulled out that little barrel that comes with cats and dogs. I tried to keep it pretty neutral but like bright flowers. And then more of these hanging baskets. This one is from Greenhouse Haven, and I just put it on the pillar of the porch because I thought that was nice. And I love this wreath from Laundry Day, so I had to put it back there behind the white bench just for a little bit of an accent piece. And we have a little entryway mat in the front with some gnomes on it. Love these lights that came with Businesses and Hobbies, so I used those in front of all the doors. And of course some flower boxes. I put those over every single window here, but I had a lot of fun with this one. I did change the swatches on almost everything to be white because I wanted it to be kind of neutral and like let the brick pop and let the rest of the home kind of stand out. But everything else is pretty much white and blue on the exterior, which might be a little bit boring, but like I said, time crunch, and I didn't have time to be wondering if it was fancy enough. I just wanted it to be functional and cute, and that was where my priorities were lying at the moment. So here we are on the back porch, and I've pulled out a love seat from, I think, Perfect Patio. I'm not 100% sure. One of those backyard or patio packs. I have the love seat over here, and also a little patio table with a citronella candle, and then also I pulled out this lovely little wall decoration from Dine Out, and I thought that it would look nice with some of this wisteria on it, so I pulled that out from Cottage Living and then used Tool Mod to move it away from the wall just a little bit so it wasn't snapped to the wall. That way it kind of looked like it was growing on the actual wall decoration itself. And then over here on the other side we have an armchair where the breaker box is, and also a little Cottage Living decoration on the wall. On the other side of the porch leading to the patio we have more of this wisteria, and I put these beautiful purple flowering bushes so they have enough space. Now you also won't see one other thing in the speed build, which is terrain paint, because I did not end up adding terrain paint until after I had already taken the screenshots, so my apologies for that. In the screenshots you will not see the terrain paint, unfortunately, because I had not put it down yet, and I didn't realize until I had already finished the screenshots. But on the gallery there will be terrain paint underneath all of the flower beds and stuff, so do not worry. I did not completely forget it, I just forgot it for most of the time, which, obviously. But we have a little low-lying fence here going around all of the flower beds, and then I decided to hop back here to Grandpa's workshop area where I did grab the base game woodworking table, and I put it on the side of the building at first, but eventually I swap it over because I end up adding another door to the other side of his workshop so that he can get out the sideway as well. And then there's some more flowers copied from the front of the build, and also some more of this tall grass. Sometimes it does kind of get in the way, so I may have ended up going and sizing that down a little bit more, the tall grass, and moving it so that the Sims wouldn't have difficulty inside the house moving around. I did notice there was a problem with that, but that should be fixed by now. And then we're back in the wood shop because I was like, I think it needs something else, and then here's that door going in, and I was rearranging the woodworking table. There's also a little bear sculpture. I think he just finished that, and he just doesn't have anywhere to put it yet, so it's just sitting out here. There's also like a little workshop light that came with Strangerville, and I think that's a nice little outdoor light that he just kind of put up temporarily while he has these big appliances in here that aren't normally in here. Normally he can fit his woodworking table in there, but right now he can't. We also have a lovely grill. There's a hose out on the back deck because I wanted to make sure there was a way to water the flowers. And then up here in the upstairs hallway we have our chess table and our chairs from Cats and Dogs, and then I add this rug from Dream Home Decorator right under here, as well as these curtains from Eco Lifestyle, because I wanted them to be just kind of simple and not too matchy-matchy. This upstairs hallway is kind of a throwaway thing for me. I did throw some paintings on the walls, but it wasn't really a main priority, so I used one of these lights from Growing Together as well. I did size it down a little because it just kind of seems too big. And then here is the bathroom for the upstairs near the grandparents' room. I used the Parenthood shower tub combo, and then I used the countertops. Actually, I believe are either from Spa Day or Get to Work. I forget which one, but we have all of our bathroom clutter stuff going in, obviously soap pump and toothpaste cup. And I also used this little vase of flowers that came with Love Struck. I really like the bright orange flowers in there, so that goes next to like the little accessories caddy that I have on the counter. And then we have our plunger and our toilet paper roll. Obviously we have the candle and extra toilet papers on the back of the toilet, and I added a bunch of rugs in here. There's a in front of the toilet rug, and in front of the sink rug, and also in front of the shower rug. Lots of rugs, and I wish I could have that in my house, but I have cats, and my female cat refuses to leave anything that's on the floor alone. She must pee on it. Don't know why. There's plenty of litter boxes, but no. Anyway, that's just me venting. But we have some curtains going in the bathroom as well. I use these ones from the Cozy Bistro kit with this lovely lacy pattern, and then I just position them with the tool mod and the 9 key to kind of raise them up. And then we are in the granddaughter's room here. We have the dresser from Cats and Dogs in this white swatch. And then also I think this is just a base game mirror, and I love these lovely pink curtains that are from base game, so I throw them in here as well. Her room is a little bit more empty. I have a feeling that she doesn't stay here very often. Usually it's the grandson that stays here, and I think he is a teen, but he kind of just became a teen. He still has like a toy box in his room, but he has a lot of painting stuff. The granddaughter doesn't stay here that often. I think she does a lot of sports, so she doesn't have a lot of free time to come stay with the grandparents, but the teen has a lot of free time because he kind of like half goes to school and then half goes to a tech school. So he has a lot more time to come here, and he loves the scenery, so painting here for him is very inspiring, and I think he enjoys visiting his grandparents. This is their little shared bathroom. It's very simple. I just used some white herringbone tile on the walls from Growing Together, and then the blue herringbone tile on the floor. The similar bathroom layout, just the default bathroom light, and then a little whale rug in front of the whale shower, because why not? And of course, toothpaste, soap pump, you know the whole deal, and the plunger, and of course the toilet paper roll, because that has to happen. Instead of a candle in here on top of their toilet, I just put a little tiny light because I thought that made a lot more sense. And we also have some towels on the back wall over here. And then we're going to get into the grandson's room because I had a lot of fun with this one. I did decide on the same wallpaper from the granddaughter's room, only in a different swatch. And I changed the swatch up on the bed to be more of like a green and white and gray kind of pattern. It looks kind of funky and cool, and that kind of gave me the inspiration for the rest of the room. So we have a very plain desk, and then the desk chair ends up being this one from Kids Room Stuff in a bright green. Also gave him a little kid's tablet and a little desk lamp, and then I threw in this other lamp from Parenthood, put that on his end table. Here's his toy box I was talking about. That ends up going in the corner. I wanted to pull out this weird like hexagon shelf thing and throw a bunch of stuff on here. We have like some books and a little taxi toy, and then we also have a bunch of other little stuff going up. So here's like some painting things going onto the desk, and also the digital sketch tablet that came with the Artist Studio kit. There's some sketchbooks from that same kit over here on his end table, and then I end up throwing in the easel and stuff later on. There's also some paintings on the walls. There's that little ladder shelf thing that I think he uses to organize his paints. When he comes here, he's all about painting and all about just expressing himself. I think he has a little bit more freedom here. His grandparents don't really hover as much. They just let him be creative and do pretty much whatever he wants. So he does set down newspaper and a drop cloth when he's painting, but you know, they understand that he's probably going to ruin this rug. But this rug has also been here for a little while. It was, you know, one of their kids' rooms, so they're not too beat up about it, and they don't give him too much trouble. He also has a messy little rolling cart with a bunch of paint stains on it, and of course this lovely overhead solar system light that I think has always been here, and it's like a little bit of an heirloom in the family, I think, and it's just going to stay in this room forever. On top of this little hexagon shelf, we have a little sticker printer and also one of the freezer bunny things, and I just think that's a really cute little room, and I think that it definitely gets the point across that the grandson is an artist. Then we're going to pop back into the kitchen. I'm adding some scuffs to the countertops and also to the dishwasher, and then I had to put that wall back, and you realize it got rid of my sink, and eventually it'll get rid of the paints that I rose up on the counter, but I do end up putting those back, so fear not. You won't see them now, but you will see them in the screenshots. I made sure to put them back. And also we have 2 trash cans in the kitchen. And that is it for this build. It took me a good couple of weeks to finish with all the bulldozing and stuff. So I hope you enjoy it. It is in Copperdale on the Little Falls Nook lot. And I will also be uploading the grandparents that I made to playtest this house to the gallery as well. So they will probably be uploaded right after the home. So if you check out my gallery ID, which is Miss Chris Builds, you will see this home and also the grandparents that I used to playtest. And if you'd like to download this home, you may, and you can just add them right in there. All of their skills should be at the place where they need to be for you to complete the storyline, and then obviously you can add more family members if you want. So I hope that you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you guys at the shell tours tomorrow. Like I said before, please be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out, and be sure to check out Little Simsie's Twitch stream when she does the shell tours tomorrow, the 26th. Thanks guys, bye.